Hi, welcome to Positive Preschool Tips. I'm Cindy. I have 7 strategies that you can use to get your little ones to behave and do what it is that you want them to do. These are great strategies. I have used them myself as a parent and as a teacher, and I've had really good luck with them. So I hope there's something here today that I can offer that's going to help you be able to manage your children's behaviors and get them to do what it is you want them to do. So let's just jump right in and get started. The very first thing that I'm going to offer you is to be sure that you tell, don't ask. So when you're giving instructions, make sure that you're giving it in a command, but not in a question. So an example would be, instead of saying, could you pick up your toys, which is a question, instead you change that to be a very direct instruction. Put all the blocks in the tub. Another example would be, how about going to wash your hands? Well, again, that's a question, and that opens it up for the child to feel like they might have a response back to you as either yes or no. Instead, if you change that up and say, go wash your hands, or it's time for you to wash your hands, it's much more clear for the child and it's very direct. It's a simple change, but it's a good one. Number 2, give clear expectations. Try to avoid using words that are very abstract, like good or nice. You want to be more direct and more specific. So an example of that would be, instead of saying use nice hands, instead you want to say put your hands in your lap. It tells the child exactly what they should do with their hands. Another example might be, instead of saying be careful, well, of what? So instead you might want to say something much more clear and direct, like move away from the door. And that way the child knows what it is exactly that you want them to do. Number 3, this one is one of my favorites. It's a small change, but it is a game changer. So what you want to do is be sure when you're giving instructions to the children that you state it in positive terms. So you want to be sure that you are focusing on the do's, not the don'ts. So an example of that would be, don't touch. Instead, you want to say, keep your hands down, or put your hands by your side. If children are sitting, I'll often say, put your hands on your knees. It's very direct, and they then are putting their hands on their knees, which puts their hands in their lap as well. Another example of this would be, if you were to say, if the child is washing hands and they get busy splashing in the water, instead of saying, quit playing in the water, which again, you're telling them what you don't want them to do, you want to focus on what you do want them to do, you could change that around by saying, wash your hands. Now you're telling the child exactly what it is they should be doing, and they can then focus on getting the soap and washing their hands. I love this one. I use it a lot, and it works like magic for me. So I'd love for you to try it and let me know if you try it and if it works. The next strategy I would like to offer you would be, when you are talking with the child, be sure that you are keeping it simple and you are not giving them too many words or too many instructions at one time. It's very easy when you have a lot to do in a classroom to throw out a lot of directions for the children to do and a lot of instructions. Believe me, I know, I've been there. But if you can stop yourself and give one clear direction, everyone stand up. And when you get that done, everybody walk to your chairs, instead of saying something like, okay, everybody stand up and I want you to get to your chair. There's a lot of directions there. Some children might be able to follow them, but when you have a big group, it's really so much more efficient to sort of get them all doing one instruction and then sending them on to the next one. Once they get to the table, then you can give the directions of hands in your lap. Everybody touch your knees, so that you are giving them directions along the way with short words and keeping it simple with one command at a time. Another strategy that is very helpful. This is not necessarily a strategy you can do with the entire class. So this would be if you are addressing one specific child or a small group of children. And that would be to be sure that you gain their attention. It's very easy if a child's playing in the block corner and being too rough with the blocks, and you are calling their name from across the room for them to tune you out. So you want to get close to the child. You want to make sure that you are close in proximity and you gain their attention. And that might be that you touch their arm, or that might be that you ask them, make your eyes look at my eyes is one I use, because if you say, look at me, sometimes the children will look at you, but they're looking at your elbow. So I might call them by name or ask them, make your eyes look at my eyes, so I know that they're looking at me, and then give them the instruction. Another strategy that I have, that I use, is making sure that you are using a tone of voice that conveys when you mean business. I call it my I mean business teacher voice. It is not yelling. It is not harsh. It is not shrill and loud at the top of your volume. It is a firm, confident, I'm in charge kind of voice. So you want to be sure that you're not overselling some sort of in a sweet kind of, sing-songy way, when what you mean is business. And it is now time for them to do exactly what you want them to do. I often save this voice when it's not an emergency, but when it is a time when we don't have any leeway. For example, if the fire alarm went off, it's not time to sort of, okay, everybody, let's line up. You then mean business. So it's everyone put the toys down, line up at the door. Really simple, really straight, and in a firm voice that the children know I am not playing, this is serious. The last strategy I have for you is first, then strategy. First, you do what I want you to do, then you get to do what you want to do. So I often use this strategy when I have a child that really has something that they want to do and they're focused on that, and therefore not attending what the instruction is that I'm giving them or what the direction is. So maybe a student has to finish completing an activity before they can go on to the block corner. And all that child wants to do is do block corner. And so I use that strategy and say to them, first you finish your activity, then you get blocks. That way the child realizes I'm not saying no to the blocks. I'm just telling them you get to the blocks, but first this has to happen. And then it's easy for them to get this done to make sure they get to what it is they want to do. In this strategy, it's really important that the then of the first and then is something the child wants to do. So you're going to use the strategy when you're trying to move them from one activity that needs to be completed and on to the next one that they want to do. It's a great strategy. Well, I hope I have given you something today that will work for you. Try these things out in your classroom or with your little ones. Please give me a comment if you've tried them and they work. If you tried them and you feel like you got stuck or something didn't quite work, give me a comment. So thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate your time. I would love for you to subscribe, leave a comment or a like, and I hope to be seeing you again soon. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day and have a great preschool day.